Ice hockey was released for the NES in 1988. Instead of licensed NHL teams or even cities that depict them, you instead pick one of 6 international teams: the United States, Sweden, Poland, Canada, the now defunct USSR, and Czechoslovakia. The interesting thing is, none of these teams are stronger or weaker than each other. It's all based on what team you decide to build. There are 4 players on each team, and you decide the physique of each player, whether they're skinny, average, or fat, even though there's really no such thing as a fat hockey player. The skinny guys have weak power but are faster, the fat guys have strong power but are slower, and the average sized guys are balanced. It adds a huge dimension to the game and leaves you with plenty of toys to play with, as you can experiment with what combination best suits you, how to use certain players against certain opposing players, or you could fuck around and just see what it's like having nothing but fat guys run around chasing the puck and blasting it across the rink. It may be the earliest form of create a player in a sports home console game. The color sometimes doesn't match the country's flag at all, but with some of the teams matching colors, there had to be some discrepancies. Canada being green is ridiculous, but someone had to get the shaft. Just shouldn't have been the country where the fucking sport developed from. Okay, the USSR is red and that makes sense, but why not at least make Canada white? Oh well. The game itself is pretty easy to control. The passing and shooting is very simple, but still effective. The only issue I have is switching the guy you control on defense. You may not be in control of the guy you want, and then it gets worse when you're near the goalie because you can't just toggle over to control the goalie exclusively. You're always in control of one of the defenders and the goalie at the same time, which means you can't focus on solely controlling the defender and let the computer handle the goaltending. Every movement you make will always control the goaltender too. So you have to make a decision on whether to take control of the goalie when you feel a shot is coming, or take control of the defender and break it up. I try to stick with the defender for as long as I can, and then if the opponent is about to take a shot, I immediately focus on the goalie. The net may be huge, but the goalie does move fast, and the puck doesn't really fire off at a ridiculously fast rate or anything, even when the fat guys shoot it. But you gotta be on your toes. There's icing, checking, and sometimes if things get physical enough, a fight could break out until the referee, whose wardrobe is definitely questionable, breaks it up and drags the loser of the fight into the penalty box, which is ridiculous, but there really was no practical way to make it work, and this is the only time a power play exists in the game, so it's cool. If time expires, the game goes to a shootout, and if there's no break of the tie, you go into sudden death. It goes back and forth between a sudden death period and the shootout until someone wins. There are 5 levels of game speed and the option of accelerated 7, 10, or 15-minute periods, so you can tweak the game to your liking. I had mentioned in a previous review that I felt Blades of Steel was the best hockey game on the NES, but there's no shame for ice hockey in coming in second place to that gem. It's definitely a solid game in its own right. And that wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.